Good morning, everybody. So today we are joined by Jeff Johnson, Sarah Earl, David Stoker, and Stacey Gilkey. Jeff currently serves as president of People First of Missouri. He has been advocating for many years now for himself, his family, and others with disabilities. Jeff served as vice president of the local People First chapter. Recently, Jeff spent a year in SARTAC fellowship working on a school-to-prison pipeline project. Sarah Earl is the executive director of the St. Louis Empowerment Center, a peer-run drop-in center and recovery community center. She became a certified peer specialist in 2009, and she has been a trainer for the peer specialist program since 2011. She is also a certified RAP Wellness Recovery Action Plan facilitator and a certified WHAM Whole Health Action Management facilitator. She was awarded the 2016 Missouri Mental Health Champion Award for Mental Health. Sarah holds a bachelor's degree from Hardin-Simmons University in Abilene, Texas, and a master's of fine art from Western Illinois University in Macomb, Illinois. David Stoker is a person in long-term recovery. For him, that means he has not used alcohol or other drugs since January 31st of 2009. And because of that, he now has a positive impact on his community. He is the executive director of the nonprofit Better Life and Recovery and co-founder of the Springfield Recovery Community Center. He was the 2017 Missouri Mental Health Champion for Recovery and a 2018 Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration Voice Award winner. He loves organizing pro-social, family-friendly sober events, educating people about addiction and recovery, and spending time with his amazing wife and two incredible children. Stacey Gilkey is a mother of two children living with an autism spectrum diagnosis, among other things. She works at a community mental health center as a family support provider supervisor for the last 8 years. Stacey is also a certified peer specialist. She loves helping with the Real Voices, Real Choices conference and has served on the planning committee for 3 years, representing the DMH Division of Behavioral Health, Family, Youth, and Mental Health. Please join me in welcoming Jeff, Sarah, David, and Stacey. Lori, I'll turn it over to you.
Our first panelist today is Jeff Johnson. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us today, Jeff. Would you mind briefly telling everyone where you are from or who your organization is connected with?
Lori, I don't think Jeff is on yet.
I don't think so either. Shall we move on to the next speaker?
I think so. That's a great idea.
All right. So our second person up is Sarah. I believe. There we go. I'm trying to get to my screen. I'm so sorry, everyone. Sarah, please tell us briefly where you're from and who you're connected with.
I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm the executive director of the St. Louis Empowerment Center, and I'm also a trainer for the Certified Peer Specialist Program.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. I am sure everyone would love to hear how many times you have been to the conference.
Over the years, I have lost count of the number of times I've been to the conference, but I think it's been in the range of about 8 times. I was very involved with the conference in its early days. I went to the very first conference that was held actually here in St. Louis before it went down to the lake. And I was also very involved in those very early conferences, and I've presented at the conference several times over the years.
Thank you, Sarah. Would you mind telling us how long you have been on the planning committee?
Well, this is my first year. I just joined the planning committee last November, so I'm very excited to finally be able to be a part of this committee.
Awesome. Next, how have you been able to stay positive and motivated during the COVID-19 quarantine? And has the quarantine changed the conference planning process for you?
Well, in terms of how I've been able to stay positive, a lot of being able to stay positive has been my support system. I have a very strong support system with my family and also with my recovery family. So there's my home family, my husband and my child, and then there's my recovery family. And so between the two of them, that's been the way I've been able to stay positive during this. And yeah, it's really changed how we plan this conference. We went from being able to meet in person and plan to having to plan this whole conference via Zoom calls and not being able to see each other. So that's been very different.
Awesome. Thank you for that response, Sarah. What will you miss most about the in-person conference this year?
Being able to see people. I love the Real Voices, Real Choices conference because it's a time where, as a trainer of the CPS program, I get to meet a lot of people, and then at the Real Voices, Real Choices conference, I get to see them again, and I get to reconnect, and I get to meet new people, and being able to make those connections and reconnections and visit with people that I don't get to see every day. That's what I miss the most.
Awesome. Finally, Sarah, do you have any words of wisdom for someone who may be considering serving on the planning committee member?
All I can say is that if it's something that you want to serve, if it's something that you want to do, it is not difficult to do. It is very fun. It is a loving, fun group to do. And if it's something that you're interested in, I highly recommend putting in an application.
Well, thank you much for allowing us to speak with you today, Sarah.
You're very welcome.
Our third panelist is David Stoker. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us today, David.
Good morning. How are we doing?
Wonderful. Please tell everyone where you're from and who you're connected with.
So like she said, my name is David Stoker. I am from Springfield, and I am the executive director of the Springfield Recovery Community Center and the co-founder of the Springfield Recovery Community Center. I think I said that twice. Anyway, but yeah, so Springfield.
Perfect. Thank you, David. Next, can you tell us how many times you've been to the conference?
I think I've been here, I believe this is my sixth amazing year.
Great. Thanks, David. Please tell everyone how long you have been on the planning committee.
So I have actually been on the planning committee for 5 years. I came in the first year, I was asked to come in as a presenter, and I loved just the atmosphere at the conference so much that I immediately asked how I could get involved and become part of helping put it on.
Thank you so much. But next, I'm sure everyone would like to hear how you have been able to stay positive and motivated during the COVID, and how has that changed the planning process?
Let's see. It's been a struggle, to be honest. I am like a lot of other people out there. I have some extensive mental health diagnoses, and for me, I started like a Zoom accountability meeting. I've had to be really honest with my doctor and my psychiatrist and look at maybe managing it a little bit better with medication and tons of mindfulness and grounding exercises. It's kind of what I've done. And what was the second part of that question?
And how do you see the planning process changing?
You know, I'm not gonna lie, it hasn't been as fun as usual. I feed off of other people, and you know, this committee's my family. and I have missed getting to meet with my family in person. You know, that's been a struggle for me. I love engaging with everybody. I mean, literally, I consider some of the people on the panel family, and not being able to hug them and talk to them, you know, face to face, and it being on Zoom, I think has made it a little difficult for a lot of us on the planning committee. So I think that's one way it's changed it. You know, the amazing thing though is that we still got to meet together through Zoom and online, and still put on, you know, the conference, because I definitely feel like this is a necessity in the Missouri community to have this conference.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences over the past few months. Would you tell us what you would miss most about the no longer able to be in person conference?
Like I said, I feed off of people, you know, and energy, and I am a talker and a hugger, and there's no talking to anybody, there's no hugging anybody. I might be able to hit them with a message back and forth as this is going on, but once again, you know, sending a message to somebody on social media is nowhere near the same thing as being able to walk up to somebody, give them a big hug, and see that huge smile on their face. So I mean, that's what I miss. You can't get that online.
Thank you so much for allowing us to speak with you today, David.
My pleasure.
Our final panelist for the day is Stacey Gilkey. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us today, Stacey.
Good morning.
Would you mind briefly telling everyone where you are from and what organization you're connected with?
I am from Lee Summit, Missouri, and I am a family support provider supervisor for Rediscover Mental Health.
Thank you so much, Stacey. Next, tell us how many times you've been to the conference.
I have actually only been one time.
Perfect. So thank you, Stacey. Would you mind telling us briefly regarding how long and how you came about planning on the committee?
This is my third year on the committee, and I was asked by another committee member to fill out an application.
Thank you so much. Please share with us how you have been able to stay positive and motivated during the COVID quarantine.
I agree with David. It's been hard. Luckily, my company's amazing, and I've been able to work from home. So I still have a job, so that's a good thing. Just a good support system. I still get to see my family, so that helps. But it's a struggle.
How do you think the planning process has changed?
Just not being able to see people in person. I think we did a really great job doing it by Zoom, but you still miss that face-to-face and bouncing ideas off each other.
Thank you so much for sharing, Stacey. What will you miss most now that we're no longer able to be in person?
I agree with David, being able to hug people. And I'm also an FSP trainer. So like Sarah said, you know, seeing people that you've trained, being able to reconnect with them, and just being with that many people is amazing. It's such good energy. So I will really miss that.
Yes, I agree. Finally, Stacey, what have you been able to do with the information that you've gained through the conference, and how has it impacted you and your community?
I think I use stuff that I've learned every day working with the families I work with. I take a little bit from everything.
Awesome. Thank you so much for allowing us to speak with you today, Stacey.
You're welcome.
Well, a huge thank you to all of our panelists today. We would also like to thank each of you for your dedication and commitment to the Real Voices, Real Choices Conference and the incredible consumers all around the state of Missouri. We will now have a brief question and answer session for our viewers. Simply post your questions in the comments section, and conference staff will filter your questions to the panel. Please remember, we only have 15 minutes, maybe a little more. If we are not able to address your questions during the live stream conference, staff will be sure to share all unanswered questions with our panelists and get the information to you as soon as possible. Have we gotten any questions?
I want to say thank you for all the hugs, everyone. We appreciate it.
Yes, it's amazing.
I would second that. I see I'm sending virtual hugs, and I'm like, oh. Maybe next year we can do them in person.
Right?
There seems to be one.
Okay, so I see that there's a question. They're asking me how I manage family and recovery because they're newly pregnant. I remember being newly pregnant and I was scared. I was a little nervous. And the way I manage family and recovery is by planning and making sure that I carve out my family time, and then I make sure that I give enough time for myself also. And that I remember that that I am worth it and I am worthy and that I can do it. And that is a mantra that I have to tell myself, and that I make sure that my family and that my recovery both have equal status, right? I can't have my recovery take second seat, but I can't have my family take second seat either. So I try to manage them both, right? And then my family is part of my recovery, if that makes a lot of sense to you. My family, my husband is part of my support system. I do not hide my recovery from, my son is now almost 14, right? So he has grown up knowing about mental health. He's grown up knowing about substance use. It's not something that I hide from him, right? So he's grown up in a family that understands and knows, and that's the kind of way I manage my family and my recovery. I hope that that makes sense.
Thank you.
Did you see Tim's question about what it looks like moving forward?
No. Would you like to take that one?
I think right now we're not sure. Is that right, everybody?
I would say Amber.
Yeah, from my understanding is that in terms of moving forward with the conference, we know that we're excited that we were able to do this conference virtually this year and not have to cancel it. We have no idea what the conference is going to look like next year. We would love to be able to make it in Tantera. We don't know. We may have to do it again virtually next year because we just don't know what things are going to look like. So we wish we could have that answer. We wish we could say, yay, we'll all be back in Tantera next year. But we don't have the answer to that.
Okay. All right. Do we have any more questions?
There's one. How can you help a family member during this time with their struggles? I think just getting a good support system around you and not be afraid to ask for help when you need it. I know I've reached out many times. I struggle just kind of being quarantined somewhat, and I've reached out a lot. So just don't be afraid of reaching out.
I think that's sound advice.
I see, has COVID impacted Tantera very much?
I mean, I wouldn't know, but I would say my guess would be yes, as far as a lot of the conferences and things, because even though I don't think they have the same regulations as some of the other counties do, I know that there's a lot of people that are just not traveling right now due to safety concerns. So I would imagine it's definitely impacted the conferences and everything there.
Well, and DMH canceled 2 of their large conferences that are usually held down there. So, in terms of what happens there has definitely been an impactful thing.
Very good.
Dead on was, what was the attendance for RSVPs this year? Amber, do you know the number for that?
I'm not real sure. I know it was over 100, I believe. Maybe a couple.
400.
400.
Oh, yay.
That's great.
So we're excited that all of you guys are out there and that you're on this journey of a virtual conference with us. We worked real hard to put this together for you.
How do you handle stress level? I would say I'll talk on this a little bit. I mean, as a person of faith, I pray a whole lot because, along with the meditation, and like I said, with the kid and everything going on right now, I mean, I've got a 13-year-old, not a college age kid, but I have very intentional conversations with him about, what's going on right now and making sure that he's safe and masked and everything else. I always, try to teach him to err on the side of caution, and any questions he has, to get a hold of me with those questions and just try to have a very, very open line of communication with him. So, I mean, and like I said, for me personally, it's been having those conversations with my doctor and my psychiatrist about the additional help that I need right now with all of the isolation and the depression and anxiety that's been bringing on.
I concur with what David was saying regarding that. I also have an almost 14-year-old, and lucky him, hereditary. He inherited some of, the anxiety and things from his mom, and being able to sit and talk through things with him and making sure that he has his own wellness plan has been very helpful for him during this time.
I agree. I've been very honest with my kids, and I think I set the example on how I handle things, so if I'm handling things well, so are they.
Very good.
I'll comment on this as much as I can. I don't know if anybody knows anything definitively about whether or not we will meet in person. But as for Real Voices, Real Choices, I mean, we'll have it in person or we will have it virtually like we are this year. I mean, it's not going to stop, right, because of all the wonderful people that attend it.
I see one that says, what can virtual attendees do to ensure a great conference experience? Well, you're actually doing it by having this dialogue with us and typing in the comments, and having a virtual dialogue with us is exactly what allows us to have a great virtual experience.
Thanks, Teresa. But yeah, and I guess I'll piggyback on that. I mean, absolutely what she said. I mean, talk to each other back and forth. I mean, that's what we can do right now, right? We can't have that physical interaction, but at least maybe we can have that social interaction with people through the comments, and, let the speakers know how much this means to them, and let the people that are on here commenting with you know how much you miss getting to see them in person, and how excited you are just to be able to interact with them socially through social media.
And I think much as you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. Keeping up with the comments, doing the social part of it. I think that is so important. We're all sad that, we don't get to be in person, but I think making the most of this is important.
We have a question about if they need to talk to a staff member privately, how can they? They have an issue with their RSVP. So I would recommend contacting the DMH staff who is in charge of the conference, and that is Christina Cannon. And so she can handle any issues with your RSVP. that would be the person that I would contact at DMH. She's really great and responsive in terms of being able to help with your, I had an issue with my RSVP and she helped me sort it out. So she's really great about that. So that's Christina Cannon at DMH. And if somebody on the back end wants to put her email in the chat box, I'll let them do that.
And in response to Randy Todd, I agree. 400 is a terrific number. I didn't realize it was that high, so that's amazing.
And look, there's Christina's email in the chat box. So
you ask and you receive.
See, that's how responsive they are.
Yes. So, yeah, so just contact Christina and she will get back to you. And yes, and so you're also talking to each other on Facebook and on YouTube, and that's exactly what we want you to do. And so I think it's going to be a great conference this year, and we're really excited that all of you are on and communicating. And then how are you receiving your CEUs? I do believe that once the entire conference is over, you will receive an email with all of the things that you RSVP'd for and the things that you attended. You'll receive an email with your CEUs listed at the end of the conference. Easy peasy.
Lemon squeezy.
How much good does mindful meditation and DBT do for people struggling with mental stress?
For me in this, I will tell you, I normally manage my, I have ADHD that can cause overwhelming anxiety. And then I also have a diagnosis of bipolar disorder. And I can tell you the mindfulness and the grounding exercises help. But with current events the way they are and a lot of isolation and things, they have exacerbated me personally, and I can only speak on my experience, but they have exacerbated mine where I've had to go. I haven't taken medication for years, and I've literally had to go back and have my doctor make an appointment with for a psych eval so that I can get back on medication, because for me it was too much for the exercise, the mindfulness and everything else for it to handle. Once I get on the medication, it's going to be a lot better. But for me, it wasn't as effective as it has been in the past because of everything else going on for me. Would anybody else like to talk on their experience? Because I'd hate them just to hear mine.
Well, I appreciate that, David, you saying that, because I agree. I've had to change things, make more appointments with my counselor and stuff like that, just because there's just so much going on that normally I could handle. And in this time, I just couldn't. And I think just being able to admit that is the first step. What worked before isn't working now.
I've also had to adjust and change things during this time, just because of the added stress, and to recognize that in others as well, as something that as someone who manages a team of individuals, as an executive director, recognizing that we're all under a lot of stress during this time, and that we're all having struggles, is something that I've been working through also. And then we've got several people have been saying that mindful meditation has helped them, and that mindful meditation helps me in my day-to-day life. And then we've got someone that says the mindful meditation doesn't really work for them. So we got to find, that's the beautiful thing that I find about recovery, is that everybody has to find their own path, and that there's many different pathways. What works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another person. And that's the beauty of recovery, is that there's a lot of different options out there for us.
I would agree that there is no one way to do recovery. And I think that's what's great also. You may have anxiety, depression, whatever your diagnosis might be. and you're going to have one person that does yoga and one person that does mindfulness, and then 5 different people that are on 3 different medications, because not even the same medications work for everybody. So there's going to be different medications and there are different amounts. So I know with my staff, I mean, I have some people that the mindfulness exercises and the grounding exercises are working really good for them. For other people, the Zoom meeting is kind of what they've used because it's given them social interaction that they didn't have before. And like I said, then other ones that have either had to get back on medication or get their medication adjusted through it. So I think it's literally case by case. There's no definitive, like somebody can say, hey, this is what's going to work for you, because only you know what's going to work for you. But I think we talk about our experiences, and there's definitely a mix of people here that are doing different things like we've just talked about. So
I appreciate that people have been putting in the comments. I've seen that reading and taking a walk, focusing on more on self-care, and someone said that being at home has relieved their stress a little bit, and then, oh, I can't scroll down. It's not letting me. You guys are moving so fast. I'm not reading all the comments.
And there was something about.
Somebody did ask if participation in the CPS training has changed during COVID, and we have changed the training a little bit. We did have moved the training online. Because, well, we want to be as safe as we can be. So the training has moved online. It is still a 5-day training, and there's still 2 trainers, we are still giving all of the sessions, so we're very excited about that. Half of it is live, and half of it is now in video with quizzes. So we had to change the training a little bit, but we're excited about the format that we came up with. But in terms of the number of people taking it, we still have lots of people being trained. We're very excited about the people coming through. I just did my first training a couple of weeks ago in the virtual format, and it was a really good class. I was worried that we wouldn't get that same kind of bonding connection that you get in a live class, and I thought that it turned out really well. So I was excited.
Sarah, to piggyback on that, we're also doing the family support provider.
Yeah, I just did my first one last week.
And we've had to switch it up a little bit.
Live?
I'm sorry?
You're doing family support provider live?
Yes.
Or not live, virtual.
Virtual, yes. And I mean, it's turned out really well also. We've had to change it up a little bit, but the classes have been the same size. I mean, it really works. Not ideal, of course, but it works.
How long has the CPS training been virtual? It went virtual at the beginning of last month. So we just went virtual right at the beginning of last month. I think I saw a question a while back that was specifically to me in the Empowerment Center, but I missed it in the feed. I don't know if the back end could pull that up. I'm not sure. People are saying that some of the online trainings are a little bit, Sarah, the Empowerment Center open currently? And if so, what are they doing? Yes, we are currently open. We are only open Monday through Friday right now. We are not open 7 days a week, and we are moved to a new location for those of you that are in St. Louis. We are now at 907 Dock Street. We're very excited. Our new location offers a larger space, and we are requiring masks and we are requiring social distancing, but we now have a shower and laundry facilities available, so plug to my organization. But if you're in St. Louis, feel free to drop on by Monday through Friday, 9 to 3. We'd love to see you. We still have Narcan available and all the good stuff. We have meetings at 11 a.m., social distance, masked, all those good things, but we'd love to see you.
Very good, very good.
To Miss Stacey, how did you get the family support? Oh, not live. I misspoke there. It wasn't live. It was virtual.
It's not live. I'm sorry. I said that. I meant virtual.
Mental health first aid was online this month. It was very different, but it works. Yeah, the virtual trainings tend to be a little bit different, but they seem to work. I'm glad we're able to get the training. And it looks like our Jeff Johnson has joined us.
And really quick, the link for the CPS training, if you go to mopeerspecialist.com, it will take you to the webpage. So www.mopeerspecialist.com, and it will take you to the page where you can register and see what trainings are coming up.
Yes. So we appreciate all of your questions and all of your comments, and it has been a really great interaction with you guys. Yeah, we appreciate it. Stacey, how do you get the family support when they won't try to understand what you're going through?
That is really, really hard. I think just breaking it down, you know, and sometimes they're just not going to understand, but just breaking down what you're going through, I think is the best way. And then being okay if they don't understand and moving on with it.
David was talking about this, another question about how do you find out more about peer specialists. So you can either go to the mopeerspecialist.com site, MOPEER specialist.com, and find out more about the peer specialist, or you can get there through the Missouri Credentialing Board site, which is missouricb.com. Either one of those sites will tell you about the trainings. They're all virtual right now. I don't know if there's any space left in this year's trainings, but it will tell you what the trainings are like, how to sign up, all of those good things. What information do I have about the new advanced CPS credential offered by the MCB? Funny you should ask about that. I am currently working on getting that advanced credential. So the Missouri Credentialing Board just put out in last month an advanced peer specialist credential. And I do not have the letters right in front of me. But basically, if you are a CPS, you can start working towards getting an advanced CPS credential. There are several things that you need to have. If you go on Missouri CB, you can see what it is. It's, David, do you know all the letters? It's something reciprocal peer is the end of it.
It's certified reciprocal peer, so it's like CRPR?
Yes. And then basically you have to have 2,000 hours of experience in the domains. You have to have 25 supervised hours. You have to have a letter of recommendation. You have to pass the ICRC test regarding the advanced peer. So there's some things that you have to have. You have to have you have to be a RAP. You have to have RAP level 1. You have to have mental health first aid. There's a list of things that you have to have. None of them are real strenuous. You just have to work your way through them. So if that's something, if you've been working in the field for a while and that's something that you're interested in, it's a $200 credential. What Scott Breedlord told me was that you put it all together, get your packet together, you mail it to him. Once you get that in, then he will let you know, give you a list of testing dates to be able to take the test. So you don't take the test before you send your materials in.
And to answer Eric's question, do you have to have experience? To actually go through the peer specialist training, no, you do not. To get the CRPR, you do have to have experience. And that's why it was set up so that we could do a little more supervision and training for people when they advance. Because speaking for myself, I know when I first became a peer, I still didn't have the best boundaries. I didn't practice good self-care. I had trouble using the word no as a complete sentence, and I needed some additional mentoring so that I could be more effective as a peer.
Yes, so, and you'll see that mopeerspecialist.com has popped up, and the information regarding the advanced credential is on missouricb.com, and that's under the credentials. If you go under the credentials, you'll find the advanced credential, and it lists all the things you need to have. It's exciting to have an advanced credential.
Yes.
Very good, very good.
Again, thank you for all your questions. We'll start to wrap this up so you guys can take a break before your next session,
Yeah, I just want to say, to piggyback on something that was said earlier, or just parroted, I guess, I love seeing the interaction on the side where people are asking for questions or websites and other people are posting it, and people talking back and forth about how much they miss each other and can't wait to see you next year. I mean, this is what's going to help this virtual conference be great, is all of you guys interacting together virtually as we have this conference. So I just want a huge shout out to everybody that has posted questions and answered other people's questions and posted things like what you're doing for your self-care and different things like that. It's been awesome just to kind of watch it all roll on the side and read it as we've been sitting here. I look forward to reading more of it and interacting with you guys virtually the rest of this conference.
For Sarah, who do you know at the Empowerment Center? I'm not exactly sure. I know a lot of people at the Empowerment Center. I'm here every day. So if you want to come by and say hi, I'd love to see you. How's that?
Very good, very good. It's like we're getting a lot of thank yous.
We love to see you.
Okay, I think in closing, we would like to thank you for viewing this session, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Have an incredible day, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Well, thank you very much to all the folks on the panel discussion. I know that was very well received and everyone enjoyed the information, lots of interaction. Again, thank you to everyone out there who is interacting with the conference right now.